What if I was to tell you that I have a lot of books here? I don't know how they came into my life. Somehow they just fell into my lap. No, I just made a video about visiting an amazing bookstore. And I want to talk about the books that I got at that bookstore because I got some winners, okay? And then I do also have a pile of other books that I have gotten over the past couple of months. A lot of them were for free or like $2. We're gonna zoom through it because this is just a very casual video and we're just gonna have fun. So let's talk about the books that I got from my amazing bookstore adventure. In that particular video, there is an amazing mass market paperback section. And I picked up John Steinbeck's The Red Pony. I am currently making my way through all of John Steinbeck's library. The last book of his that I read was The Pearl, or last novella that I read was The Pearl. So I just wanted to get another little John Steinbeck book. If you don't know, I'm a huge John Steinbeck fan. This says, The Red Pony is the story of a boy who dreamed great dreams, of the sorrel colt that was the focus of those dreams, of the land that nourished them, of the mountains that hid their fulfillment. Steinbeck's early masterpiece reveals his profound love of many things, children and their wondrous imaginings, mountains, animals, people, and the land. Love it. And look at how amazing that is. Stop it. What I kept on saying about being in dog ear books was that all of these vintage editions just have such a call to them, and I can't get enough of them. The next book that I picked up in the mass market paperback section was Jean Rhys, right? Jean Rhys, if I want to give her a little twist. Wide Sargasso Sea. Now, we're going to get to why I picked this up. I've been seeing this on everybody's tongues lately. Okay, I've been seeing everybody talking about this book. One of the most extraordinary novelists of our time has dazzled the world with her greatest, most unforgettable triumph. The story of a beautiful young heiress and the man who ultimately destroyed her combines a brilliantly colored, exotic tropical setting with a razor-sharp dissection of a woman's heart and mind. From its dreamlike opening to its nightmare climax, it is an utterly enthralling tale told with unique magic and spellbinding power. Love that. Made in the USA. Look at that. And you can just put it in the back of your pocket. That's why I love these mass market paperbacks. Come on now. Okay, and then as you were watching the video, if you did see that video, you might have noticed that I came across Thunder La Boom, a novel by Anne Steinhardt. I'm sorry. What is that? What is that? What is going on with that? I saw that. I said, where has this been all my life? I didn't even bother to look this up. I said, oh, sign me up. Mama's coming home. Okay? Mama has found her home. This is about Anne Steinhardt. I don't know who she is, what she's doing. But look at that cover! Anne Steinhardt, a transplanted New Yorker who has lived for the past several years in California. Yeah, that makes sense by that photo. Is a novelist, mother, bluegrass fiddler, former University of California professor, and stripper. Hell yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you were curious, Obie's Globe A-Go-Go Club flashes the blue and neon sign above the door. The din emanating from the place and seeping through the woodwork is mind-blowing, and the smell that hangs for 3 feet around the building is a combination of beer, sweat, disinfectant, and rut. A general stale gaminess so tense it takes impressions like clay. Such is the setting for Anne Steinhardt's novel about life in the lower depths, California style. Obie's is the neighborhood redneck bar in San Jose, a joint that opened topless and got busted, reopened bottomless and got busted, reopened straight and nearly went bust. So now it is open topless and bottomless, and although both are illegal in San Jose, the cops make only occasional raids, more out of habit than conviction. Yeah, let's read the first page, why don't we? Thunder La Boom. I would change my name to Thunder La Boom. Look at that! Look at that. I'm sorry. This is just such a sick book. And she dedicated it. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. She dedicated it to my father. I'm not going to dedicate this section of the video to my father. Happy Father's Day to dads out there. I'm standing here by the door at Obie's, remembering the first time I saw Callie enter this din of light and music, and that timid smile flashing on and off like the blue and orange neon above us. Obie's A-Go-Go Club, nude entertainment. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to see to know. Well, that's going to be a great summer book. And if you were also watching last week's video, you saw that I showed this book, and I said, I got to get that. Virgins. Virgins, yeah, Virgins by Carol Rivers. And the little line says, a hilarious novel of Catholic girls on the brink of going all the way. This was published, and now it is in the hands of me. This is a real book. Virgins. By Carol Rivers. Virgins recalls in aching detail what it was like to be an 18-year-old Catholic high school senior in suburban Washington, D.C. in the 50s. With poignance and humor, this well-known journalist and nonfiction author recounts in her first novel the rules and regimen, the hijinks and longing for that time. I really can't tell you what I'm going to get out of this, but I can assure you I'm going to be changed. Unbelievable. All right, Nam. The Vietnam War in the Words of the Men and Women Who Fought There by Mark Baker. I picked this up because, as I had mentioned in that video, I want to know a little bit more about Vietnam, and I always like oral histories of things, especially people who were active in the military or were active around that time, had their hand in it, and really were just recalling their experiences with it. I think biographies and historical texts about it are amazing, but I don't think that you get the experience like an oral history, and that is exactly what this is. Lots of people said that this was great, and from my understanding, this is just sections of people's dialogue about it. And I think that this will be a really great book to add to my collection of just learning about wars. Okay, and then this was the first book that I picked out that I found, and I said I found my first book, and I was so excited to pick this up because this is just going to be my little titillating beach read, I think, as summer goes on, and that is Delta of Venus Erotica by Anais Nin. We know her, we love her. I have read Henry and June as a book club pick because I'm a crazy fun girl. I've already started to read some sections of this. This is raunchy. This is very raunchy. Anais Nin is a fun girl, a very fun girl, and she steeps into going there. This is an awesome edition. I fell in love with this cover. This was exactly the one that I wanted, and when I saw this, my eyes almost fell out of my head. So excited to pick this up, read it, and probably not talk about it on the channel, but enjoy it immensely by myself. And right as I was leaving, I had mentioned to the owner of the bookstore that I needed to get this particular book, and he said it was kind of hard to get a lot of these classics, but as I was leaving, he ran out to the car and said, "Oh my goodness, I forgot that I pulled this for you." And this is also a little tip off to the next video that I'm going to be publishing. I'm reading Neuromancer right now, and I also am going to be accompanying that read with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. A couple of years ago, or maybe last year, I talked about wanting to read more Philip K. Dick. This is probably one of his most famous books, I would say. This is the one that inspired Blade Runner, from my understanding, and it's wild to me that the back of this says, by 2021, the World War had killed millions. Well, at least we've passed that. This feels like it's going to be a really interesting science fiction, cyberpunk from my understanding, and it's surprisingly not as dense as I thought that it was going to be. So I'll probably be reading that sooner than later. So those are all the books that I got from Dog Ears. I had such a great time, and honestly, the price of these were really amazing, so I highly suggest checking out that place or just checking out the video to see the little hijinks that I got into. Now we're going to talk about some books that I just have picked up over the past couple of months, and I'm happy to have them. Jean Reese's Smile Please, an unfinished autobiography. I have since read this, but I always love these modern classic editions. Every time I see them at the thrift store, I want to get them, and I had never read anything by Jean Reese, but I picked this up. I read it. It's her autobiography. Apparently she was like an insane perfectionist, so these are all excerpts of things that have been refined according to how she wanted them to be edited. It's very non-linear, kind of, with excerpts of her life, and it was a really illuminating read. She wanted to be an actress at first, which I identified with, and then she became a writer. That was what spawned me to want to pick up Wide Sargasso Sea, because I was just intrigued by her life. Like I said, I've read this. This was a great summer read. I just read this outside, and I was fascinated by her life, so I picked that up. And then I picked up the Cancer Journals, which I'm pretty excited about. I've never read anything by Lord, and I would like like to. I love a Penguin classic as well. These always jump out to me, and I have cancer in the family, as I'm sure a lot of people do. So I think reading a writer's kind of like manifesto on cancer, having cancer, and the treatment and the life of being a cancer survivor is something that is very intriguing to me. It's also incredibly slim. And this says, first published over 40 years ago, The Cancer Journals is a startling, powerful account of Lord's experience with breast cancer and mastectomy, which, if you don't know what that is, that's the removal of the breast and the breast tissue. Long before narratives explored the silences around illness and women's pain, Lord questioned the rules of conformity for women's body images and supported the need to confront physical loss not hidden by prosthesis. So I will probably read this very shortly. Also a great way to introduce myself into Lord's writing. Ooh. And then at the same exact Goodwill, I couldn't pass this up. Also a great addition. I feel like these are dropped off by the same people. Usually when I'm at a thrift store and I see a grouping of books that are not like the others, I think this was dropped off by one person. And of course, this is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Now listen, I have read Baldwin before, but I read his nonfiction for my book club. Everybody says you got to read Giovanni's Room. Every time I bring up that one of my favorite books of all times is Such Times by Christopher Coe, everybody says, well, have you read Giovanni's Room? And I say, I'm getting there. Okay, I'm getting there. And I saw this. It looks like it's literally never even been opened. And I said, I gotta do it. It's now or never. The signs and the stars are aligning. Set in 1950s Paris, of American expatriates, liaisons, and violence, a young man finds himself caught between desire and conventional morality. With a sharp, probing imagination, James Baldwin's now classic narrative delves into the mystery of loving and creating a moving, highly controversial story of death and passion that reveals the unspoken complexities of the human heart. I'm also really fascinated by that time of 1950s and like 1920s to 1950s American expats in Paris. And I know that Baldwin had lived there for a while too. So from my understanding, this is kind of like a semi-autobiographical take. And I think that this will be like a really nice love story to read in the summertime. So there's that. I also, on the side of the road, I found 3 books that I want to talk about. Just happened on them in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, so thank you to whoever left these behind. They've gone to a good home. This is a book that I was doing a show once, and one of the guys who I met, I would always ask them, like, what's your favorite book? And one of them said that Cavalier and Clay was one of his favorite books. And from my understanding, this is a really fun adventure novel. Does that make sense? I know that this has such a cult following. I think that they recently made this into an opera at the Met, which is really exciting. Joe Cavalier, a young Jewish artist who has also been trained in the art of Houdini-esque escape, has just smuggled himself out of the Nazi-invaded Prague and landed in New York City. His Brooklyn cousin, Sammy Clay, is looking for a partner to create heroes, stories, and art for the latest novelty to hit America, the comic book. Drawing on their own fears and dreams, Cavalier and Clay create The Escapist, The Monitor, and Luna Moth, inspired by the beautiful Rosa Sachs, who will become linked by powerful ties to both men. With exhilarating style and grace, Michael Chabon tells an unforgettable story about American romance and possibility. Again, I almost don't even think that this has been opened. This is a book that I've been meaning to get to for a while, so to just, again, have it fall into my lap, I said, it's fate. It's fate. I've got to do it. And then probably one of the more fun books that I've encountered. I've talked about this author before in the last book haul that I did this year, which I still haven't read the book. I encountered another book by this author on the side of the road, and I said, well, I got to pick that up because it's also a wild topic, and that is Cod by Mark Kurlansky. He is also the author of Salt and Cod. Something tells me this man is into preservation. Right? Okay. This is all about a biography of the fish that changed the world. Moving forward, the next 2 books, one of them I finished, but I want to talk about having it. And the other one is a book that I'm so excited to read because I finished one of these authors' books, and I truly think I found one of my new favorite books of all time. That author is Jeanette Winterson, and this book I found on the side of the road. I also think it's one of my favorite covers I've ever seen, and that is Sexing the Cherry. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have to start by saying I chose Written on the Body by Jeanette Winterson as my June book club pick. I just finished this book Truly, I think this is one of my new favorite books of all time. I've also taken the habit, if you want a little tip to make an intoxicating reading experience, I sprayed a perfume sample and used it as a bookmark. And let me tell you, every time I opened up these passionate love affair pages, I felt like I smelt the characters. This is all about an affair. This was my book club pick. I will be talking about this much more in depth. I highlighted and lined the hell out of this. What a fantastic writer. So I'm so happy. I picked this up before I picked up Written on the Body. And I just saw this cover and I said, that's amazing. Cannot tell you how amazing I find Winterson's writing to be. The story of Jordan and his mother, the dog woman who lived in pestilent London during the reign of Charles II. When Jordan travels off to see the world, he learns that time is one and every journey conceals another within. Journeys bounded only by the limits of imagination. As the pieces of his narrative shimmer and coalesce like beads of mercury, brilliant and mutable, Jeanette Winterson once again demonstrates the scope of her singular vision. I can't wait to read that. I'm probably going to read that very soon. I'm really excited about all the books that I've picked up here. I think there's so many different genres and so many different stories. I'm back into reading. I took a little bit of time off this year. I didn't really feel compelled to pick up a book, but I've read some awesome books recently, and now I feel like I'm back on my A game, and these are a lot of titles that I'm excited to read. So let me know, which ones would you like to read? These are a lot of books, and I feel okay about that because I didn't pay too much. These are all used, and they feel right up my alley and like books that I will read sooner than later. So yeah, let me know which one you would pick up first. I would love to know. Anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you